Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. So 2016 has finally met its inevitable demise, and along with it, the oddly tumultuous year in gaming. From the digital homicide fiasco to numerous instances of unbelievable fuckery on the part of games publishers to the insidious and poisonous trends within the gaming industry that continues to cause issues for consumers, it's nice to sit back and reflect for a moment on what was actually good this year. And there were, believe it or not, a ton of good games that came out. And because of all these games that didn't want to make me plunge an ice pick through my eye socket, I thought I would follow along with literally everyone else on YouTube and compose my top 10 lists. Now, this list will be in no particular order, and there will be no SidAlpha's best game of 2016. To be considered the best game is a fallacy that I don't really want to indulge in, as each one of these games deserves a top-ranked spot within their particular genres, and to single one of them out as being better than the others would be to do both you and the games on this list a disservice. Also, bear in mind this list is comprised of only games that I've reviewed. So, if I didn't review it, then don't expect to find it here. You'll be disappointed. Also, so without any further ado, and in no particular order, these are the top 10 best games of 2016. Number 10.
Farmer Bill plays building blocks with the cows.
What?
Farmer Bill races the horse and Farmer Bill wins. My shoes were untied.
What does Joel love? Wawa. In cups, bathtubs, and the warm wet tongues and the cool fur of Das. And maybe the sweet moors of daily affection.
Do you know how they celebrate off-treatment day, like when kids are done with their treatments? I guess maybe you don't because you're not in the clinic as much as I am, but on someone's last day, they always bring them a cake and they sing Happy Off Therapy Day to you.
I'm sorry, guys. It's not good.
2016 sported a metric ton of new indie games flooding the market. So much so that with Steam's non-existent curation, a full 40% of all games currently on Steam are from this year. And with that many games coming out on a daily basis, it's a virtual impossibility for good indie games to rise above and get noticed, and sadly, many of them don't. However, one of the ones that managed to rise from the depths of obscurity was That Dragon Cancer, a mechanically light narrative experience based very much on the developer's true life story of his son's battle and eventual loss to cancer and the family's struggles along the way. Now, this game will definitely tug at your heartstrings in a very real and visceral way.
I'm sorry. I should have known we'd both end up in the same place. We always do. It just scares me every time. I just really believe he'll be healed. I know you believe too, just when you act like that, I get all unsure.
I don't know that.
What do you mean?
I just hope that. I don't know. So here we are. And the air is emptier without his laugh, and yet our hearts are still full, though with a different drink. And this ride we've been on for so long is silent. And so also the Lord. And so we sit here in this new silence and long for the music to start again and for the disc to spin again, even if it means going round and round for many more years. For at least we would be moving and Joel would be laughing here on earth and not only in heaven. But in this space, I sense his silence is only because he is drawing his breath. And now we know love and longing, empty and full, all in one moment.
Now, me being a father myself, I was especially susceptible to the powerful imagery and emotional content within the game, to the point where I had originally, and probably foolishly, decided to review the game immediately after I'd finished playing it. And make no mistake, during the game, I was on the verge of uncontrollable tears. And it actually showed through in the review to a little bit, which is why I said it was a mistake to review it right away. I should have given myself some time to process and to internalize how the game was making me feel. Now, this game was a powerful experience that will definitely remind you of the importance of family and friends. That Dragon Cancer is a game that should be experienced by everyone at least once. Number 9.
Three, two, one. 60 seconds, Jack.
Okay. I'm not gonna hurt you, but I can't let you go!
Now, I have to admit, I'd missed the initial release of this game, being it came out originally only in the Microsoft Store. However, several months later, it was released from the doldrums of virtual non-existence onto third-party distribution platforms, and I dove in. Now, admittedly, during the first 10 minutes, my expectations remained very low, and I thought at first that this game wasn't going to amount to much. But somewhere around the 20-minute mark, I discovered that Quantum Break was actually a damn good game with an amazing story that was related through a combination of in-game voice acting and large full-motion video sequences that individually equate to a television miniseries in length.
Hold it right there! You little fuck! Hey, what? All you had to do was let me in that perimeter lab!
You turned on Monarch. What was I supposed to do? You have no idea what's going on, do you?
I need to get in that lab. There's something in there that I need.
The lifeboat protocol. You work with Beth Wilder. I've seen you before.
You know her?
She's the reason I'm here.
Featuring a light but effective third-person shooter mechanic with a wide variety of separate powers to give you an edge over the AI opponents, Quantum Break managed to pull me in and drug me along for one hell of a ride. With tons of stars and phenomenal acting paired with simple yet solid gameplay mechanics, Quantum Break rated amongst the highest-ranked games on my list for 2016. Number 8.
What's in this cave down here?
NFS tells people not to go too far in there. It's pretty dangerous. You're in it, aren't you?
It doesn't seem that dangerous. Whoa, whoa! Ah, no!
Henry!
Seriously, it's completely fine in here.
Damn it. That storm knocked out the phone line I used to talk to the service, which means we're cut off.
I'll see what I can do.
You think you'll take to it? Being out here? The isolation gets to people. I don't talk to the other lookouts as much as I talk to you.
Now, walking simulators are typically not what you would call my cup of tea, but sometimes a game will come along that will take you by surprise. Now, I picked up Firewatch almost on a whim, and I'm actually really glad I did. This game gripped me right from the very beginning and pulled me in with its minimalistic style, intriguing story, and dynamite voice acting.
Hey, I'm out at a ravine. What's this thing that spans across it?
That is how you get to my sector.
No kidding. Well, let me hike over.
Well, it's locked up and mainly for emergencies. I've never actually used it. Rangers use it from time to time, but that's it.
Help! Oh, God, it's an emergency!
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got eyes on a tornado. I gotta get out of here.
A tornado in the heart of the Rockies?
Yes!
Holy moly, I need to call this in. Tom, Two Forks sees a tornado. He says he needs an evac into my sector. It's a meteorological impossibility. There haven't been tornadoes in the greater Yellowstone region in 100 million years. You're gonna need him to stay and take a detailed personal account, even if it means giving his life. Okay, I'll tell him. Sorry, Hank. No dice.
Man.
Transporting the player to the 1980s during one of the largest fire season years the country had ever seen, our main character is faced with a mystery literally years in the making. The game also subtly explores the psychology behind shared paranoia and isolation. A solid game from start to finish, Firewatch delivers on its promise of intrigue and mystery in a way that will leave you wanting even more.
Well, I found some dangerous hunks.
What on earth are you...
It's another one of those magazines. These girls have a full case of beer left here. A full case.
Well, they're impressive little shits, I guess.
That is some dedication.
Number 7. Back in the late 90s, FMV video games were wildly popular, allowing an ability to relate story and convey emotion through live action that video games of the day simply couldn't match. FMV games were a favorite amongst story-driven gamers. Now, since the early 2000s, the FMV-style game was eventually replaced with traditional CG cutscenes, but apparently not forgotten. Revitalized in The Bunker, Splendy Interactive and Wales Interactive joined forces to create a complete FMV video game sporting some modern interaction mechanics, but kept very much to the style of the original FMV.
And we've finally been able to take some proper readings from the RA14 sensors. They show we have a range of 700 to 1,000 rads for anyone exposed to the atmosphere.
What does that mean?
Well, anything over 200 rads can be fatal.
No. How long before it's safe to go back up?
Our best guess, 20 to 30 years.
That's... Sam? Can we last that long? Do we have enough food?
Yes, yes, it'll be all right. We may have to ration a little, but it'll be all right.
Mom? It's all right, darling. Everything's going to be fine.
With some of the best acting in video games that I have ever encountered, The Bunker takes place in exactly that. A bunker, a real decommissioned nuclear bunker. Adam Brown's character is the sole surviving inhabitant after approximately 20 years. His mother, played by Sarah Green, passes away in the early sequences of the game. Now, the game does take a while to ramp up as well, but this is purely by design, as you slowly unravel the mystery behind what happened to the other inhabitants as you battle to keep the bunker's systems from failing. With an excellent story, impeccable acting on all counts, and massive amounts of nostalgia built right in, The Bunker takes every ounce of what was best about the FMV genre and ramps it up to 11. One of the few contenders that came very close to rating a full 10 out of 10 from yours truly, The Bunker is a must-see. Number 6. Now, many games attempt to achieve what could be considered art in video gaming, a nebulous and relatively undefinable term that can be considered highly subjective even under the best of circumstances. Now, that said, some games transcend the playable experience into becoming an interactive wonder that can inspire a whole host of emotions and even instill that sense of wonderment on the player. Abzû manages to accomplish this in spades, with a narrative that is told mainly through the environment. Abzû uses the interactive visual medium in a way that few other games have been able to achieve in the past. Now, even though the actual gameplay in Abzû is fairly lacking, it's the interactivity with the environments and the visual spectacles coupled with an incredible soundtrack that makes Abzû unique in the flood of games to be released this year. Abzû makes for a wonderfully relaxing experience while also providing the player with other moments of exhilaration as well. Number 5.
With whom do you stand? We will carve a path to the Citadel on our own!
You will pay for your treason.
What will you choose, Fatebinder?
Now, I love CRPGs. I really do. I've said it many times that the Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights series of games are on my top 10 game series of all time. Since those games, not much had been done in the way of CRPGs until Pillars of Eternity, a fantastic game that suffered from the fatal flaw of confronting the player with insane walls of text. However, it seemed that Obsidian Entertainment learned from that mistake and presented us with Tyranny, a game that not only improves on the choice-driven aspects of CRPGs, it is also a game that not only provides the player with the ability to play as the villain, it celebrates it. Now, in Tyranny, the titanic struggle between good and evil is over, and the good guy is lost. Your character, a Fatebinder, is sent to bring the generals of the Overlord to task, inspiring either loyalty or fear based upon your dialogue choices along the way. And while the ending of the game was a bit of a letdown, every other aspect of the game delivers as promised in multiple fun and inventive ways. Championing the aspect of player choice, the game changes in very real and apparent ways based on every single decision you make, allowing for a ton of variety in the game and how it's played. Now, Tyranny is one of, if not the best RPG to come out in 2016, and if you don't already own it, then you are most definitely missing out. Go buy it now. You owe it to yourself. Number 4.
You've returned. The between dimensions. Between our world and theirs.
Holy shit, does this game bring back memories. Now, Bethesda Studio took 2016 by storm with Doom's release. Unapologetically paying homage to its 90s and early 2000s roots, Doom puts us back in the shoes of Doom Guy to once again kick some demon skulls in and lovingly introduce them to the business end of your nearest chainsaw. Now, I have to say, oh my god, I love this game. I do. Doom and Doom 2 were my favorite games of both me and everyone I knew when I was younger, and this Doom is very much a faithful representation to the originals. Giving absolutely zero fucks about who it might offend, Doom is a demonic bloodbath of epic proportions featuring many aspects that you simply don't see in FPS games these days. Picture the Battlefield or Call of Duty series of games, except with none of their flaws and ramping up the gore to a fucking 1,000. No iron sights? Check. Non-linear levels? Check. Weapons that do more than shoot fucking apologies or wet tissue paper? Fucking check. Now, while the multiplayer offering is sad beyond belief, the single-player experience delivers everything you could hope for from a Doom game in triplicate. If by some wild accidental warp of reality you haven't bought this game yet, do it now. Seriously, stop the video, go buy it, and come back and finish watching while it installs. You just owe it to yourself, and to me. You owe it to Doom to buy this game. You owe it to everyone in the world. Get it. Number 3. Now, typically as a general rule, I avoid early access titles as you really can't quite tell if the game is ever going to get finished or if it will even be worthwhile once it's released. However, with Everspace, I simply couldn't resist. You see, I may have favorites amongst games like Dragon Age, Mass Effect, CRPGs as a genre, Doom, and several others, but space sims were my first love in video gaming, and Everspace manages to deliver a unique, roguelite experience while retaining that space sim flight combat experience that we haven't seen much of since Freelancer and Starlancer were released over 15 years ago. Now, Everspace is a challenging game that will kill you, make no mistake, but in between runs, you can upgrade your equipment and systems to better survive your next playthrough, as is befitting a true roguelite experience. Now, this game does have a voice-acted story, although bear in mind the game is still being made at the moment, so there's not a whole lot there. Now, even though that is the case, Everspace's solid gameplay mechanics, innovative design, and simple yet intuitive controls blend roguelite elements with actual player skill to forge a unique gameplay experience every time. And while the game is still in early access, it is one of the most fun games I've been able to get my hands on in 2016, and that's why it managed to make its way onto this list, early access or no. Now, even if you don't want to pick up the game until it's released and out of early access, definitely keep your eyes on Everspace, as this one is well worth its asking price with a huge amount of playable content. Number 2.
BT-7274. Your data recorder says your original pilot was killed in action.
Correct. My original pilot was KIA. I am now linked to Rifleman Jack Cooper.
Who authorized this?
We had no other options.
What are your protocols?
Protocol 1. Link to pilot. Protocol 2. Uphold the mission. Protocol 3.
BT!
Protect the pilot.
Titanfall 2. What can I say that hasn't already been said about this game? And it feels like Respawn Entertainment took all of the player and reviewer suggestions for what was wrong with the first Titanfall and responded in epic fashion. With an exceptionally well-written single-player campaign and an engaging and interesting multiplayer experience, Titanfall 2 came out firing on all cylinders. Now, while Titanfall 2, in my eyes, made a much stronger showing than its counterparts this year, EA essentially doomed the game to virtual obscurity, foolishly sandwiching the game in between two industry juggernauts being released barely 2 weeks apart from each other, those being Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1. But despite EA setting the game up to fail, many sites, including my own, are calling Titanfall 2 the unsung hero of 2016, and I sincerely hope that in the long run, the game ends up doing much better as people's attention drift away from Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty. Now, while those games were ultimately very samey compared to their previous iterations, Titanfall 2 innovated on itself and delivered not only a solid single-player FPS experience, but a fantastic multiplayer game as well. Throw fantastic parkour elements onto that and fantastically smooth transitions between FPS and mech combat, and Titanfall 2 delivers a much more rich and diverse experience than its counterparts. Now, if you only have the money to pick up one of the 3 big FPS games to come out this year, you should definitely take a look at Titanfall 2. It was by far and away the better experience. Number 1.
Once upon a time, there was a hero. Like every hero, he did not want to be there in the first place. And like every hero, he faced crossroads. Save a friend, or to grab a demon sword. Last time, he chose to save his friend. Friendship. Ha! What was he thinking? Now he was dancing with a sword. Every strike a perfection, and with every enemy he slew, he grew stronger. The demon sword showed him how he could end the war. Only one condition: spill the blood of his one true love. Not a difficult choice at all, right? Every choice has its story.
Now, you might notice that there are a fair number of indie titles on the list this year in addition to the AAAs, and there's a distinct reason for that. It doesn't necessarily take a large budget and amazing graphics to make an impressive and innovative game. In fact, sometimes with a smaller budget, some developers respond to this general lack of resources and innovate even further with an interesting and engaging story, meaningful choices in gameplay, good voice acting, and inspired level design. Fewer games in 2016 typify this standard of excellence more than stories, The Path of Destinies. Now, I automatically found this game to be amazing from the first few moments that I played it. This game has a charm and cheekiness about it that really resonated with me. Now, the game starts you off with Reynardo the Fox as he tries to escape the forces of the evil Emperor and join up with the rebellion. Now, at the beginning of the game, he picks up a magic book that lets him see the outcome of the myriad choices that he can make. And this allows you, the player, to go through a wide variety of choices in order to determine how to finally manage to be able to survive and to save all of Reynardo's friends as well as the rebellion in the process. Now, this game forces you to fail. A lot. But in the doing so, you learn more about what decisions are the right ones to make in a very Groundhog's Day style of story. Also, the game definitely doesn't take itself too seriously. With a very tongue-in-cheek style of narration and a multitude of cleverly delivered fourth wall breaks, this game manages to keep the tone light and fun all the way through to the very end. Also, this is yet another game where the voice actor really outdid themselves. Julian Casey was amazing in this, and it was his characterizations that really brought the characters and the game to life. With amazing gameplay and storytelling from start to finish, Stories, The Past of Destinies earns its spot on this list and is one more game that I am proud to have in my library.
All that had been years ago. How many? The war was a blur, and now 3 Raven scout ships were chasing him.
Where are you running, rebel?
Cawed the Raven captain over the loud hailer. Renato could see them cranking up their catapults. Just going out for milk? Renato yelled back.
Where can you run?
Laughed the Raven horribly. Far behind him, another city was burning. The dark cloud above its island was thousands of Imperial ships. The fleet was doing a thorough job.
Take us to the rebel base, and we'll spare your life!
It cawed. The entire jury-rigged rebel fleet was only a few islands to the east. Beyond that were only the pillars of heaven, a sea of endless blood-colored tornadoes.
So those were the best of the games that I reviewed in 2016. In their individual genres, each and every one of them deserves top spots as they did what they set out to do in spectacular fashion. Now, of course, these were based only on games that I've reviewed. There are several other games that definitely deserve to be on this list that didn't make it by virtue of their not having been reviewed on my channel this past year. But if there's a game that you feel belongs on the list, or if there was a game that you wanted me to review that I didn't, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. Also, be sure to stay tuned for the top 10 worst games of 2016 coming up as well, and no, they won't all be Digital Homicide games. So thanks for watching, folks. Don't forget to share, like, and if you're new here, then by all means subscribe. I'll also be doing an end-of-the-year video surrounding the channel and the biggest industry controversies for 2016, so be sure to keep your eyes open for that as well. Thanks again for watching. Once again, I am SidAlpha, and Happy New Year. Hey folks, thanks again for watching. If you're interested in some more reviews or first impressions, feel free to click on the window on the left. If you're interested in news affecting the gaming community, the link on the right will take you to that. If you're interested in staying up to date on what happens with the channel, the links to my Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit pages will be in the description down below. And if you're feeling generous and wish to help improve the quality of the channel, a link to our Patreon will be down in the description as well. It certainly isn't required, but it is appreciated. Also, please don't forget to show your support and hit those subscribe and share buttons, and thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.